Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stuart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And on this segment of the show, I'm very happy to say that I have family law attorney Nancy Chausow Shafer, principal of the Chausow Shafer PC from Highland Park in good old sunny Illinois. Now, Nancy, who has a wealth of experience in the area of family law, will be talking to you today about understanding the new Illinois child support guidelines. So, if you are one of the increasing amounts of people facing divorce, going through divorce, or having been through divorce, and you have children, then you might just want to take a break, log out of Facebook, give Twitter a rest for a few moments, or whatever else that you'd happen to be doing. You might even want to pick up a notepad and pen and get ready to take some notes as we listen in to what Nancy has to share with us today. So, with that said, let's not keep her waiting any longer. She's a very busy lady. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here with you.
You are so welcome, Nancy, my dear. So, briefly, in your own words, Nancy, describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they reach out to you for your help.
So generally, people will be finding me when their family system, their family structure starts to break down, whether it's a married couple seeking mediation or an individual seeking a divorce. Sometimes it's people who have never been married who are separating and now need to work out a parenting plan and support arrangements for their children when they're no longer living together.
So, keeping in mind that anything you share with us today, Nancy, is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of disseminating information. Can we both agree on that, Nancy?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when those people who you work with come to you for your help, and I'm sure there are so many, but obviously we are restricted by time, what's the most common misconception they have surrounding the new Illinois child support guidelines?
So there's a lot of information and misinformation about child support out there. The one thing is that in Illinois, we just as of July 1 of this year changed the way we compute child support. So everything people thought they knew about what happens with child support is now sort of out the window, and we have a whole new system. One of the most common misconceptions is that if somebody gets equal parenting time, they won't have to pay child support. And so sometimes, whether it's motivated by a desire for shared parenting time or whether it's motivated by a desire to pay less child support, arguments happen about the schedule for the children and what amount of time they're spending with each parent that seem to impact child support. That, under the new law, is no longer the case if it ever was, and it wasn't always the case before. But under the new law, we now have child support based on both parents' income, and the share of child support each parent is responsible for is based on their income, so that even if there's equal parenting time, there's still generally an obligation to support. So there is a website that is put up by the State of Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services. If you Google HFS Illinois income shares, you will find a page that has the income shares estimator, child support estimator. And people can go to that page, put in the information on their family, and see what child support might be. It's only an estimate because there are some specifics that they might not be entering correctly. But it's a good idea for people to know that before they jump in.
So, Nancy, based on what you just shared with us then, can you share an example or a case study, so to speak, of how you've helped, or even how you would go about helping somebody who came to you with those challenges, that misconception that you just described, and what kind of transformational results you were able to or would be able to gain for them, and obviously keeping your clients' confidentiality in mind?
Right. So generally speaking, what I like to do is sit down with them and get some preliminary information about their financial situation, how their income is shared between them. And then I try and give them an overview of what they can expect in a final court hearing. So I like to cover three things in an initial interview with clients. We talk about process options, how they're going to get through this process. And that's important, but it's beyond our topic today. And then we talk about substance and what they might expect. And of course, I like to also talk about the cost, because the choices that they make about process and the choices they make about the substance will impact the cost. So when it comes to the substance, I can give them, generally speaking, an overview of what a snapshot of what support would be based on the information that they give me. And initially, it might be very preliminary. And then we talk about what expectations they have. And if they're misconceptions, then I'm able to bring them to a place where they can understand how decisions are made when we're dividing up assets in a divorce or setting child support in this case, and how the courts go about it, and just give them a rough understanding of that in the beginning so they have reasonable expectations.
Okay, Nancy, thanks for sharing that insight with us. That's going to be really useful for our listeners out there. So as a reminder, my guest today is family law attorney Nancy Chausow Shafer, and she's calling in all the way from Highland Park, Illinois. And today's topic is understanding the new Illinois child support guidelines. Now, with that in mind, Nancy, and for all those people who are listening in right now and wanting to know more, please share one common but unknown pitfall that they need to avoid regardless of their situation.
So one thing that is specific in the new statute is that this change of computing child support may result in lower child support for a lot of people because of the way it's computed now. The numbers are probably going to be lower, especially in higher income cases, than we're used to seeing. But the statute itself cannot be the only reason to change support. So the modification of support, you need to have another reason to change it, not just that it would change under this new statute. And so people are not sure right now what that means in their case. A lot of questions are being asked. One question is, if my income has changed, could that be a basis for support change? And the answer is yes. So that might apply even if income has gone up. It may actually result in a lower child support amount. So before making any moves with the new child support statute, it's suggested that people check out what the child support would be under the new statute so that they can be aware of the change in amount that might be facing them.
So, Nancy, you've got me curious at this point. Without going into your background or your formal education or anything like that, just briefly, how many years have you been a practicing attorney?
Over 35 years.
Wow. So in all of those years then, Nancy, what's most important to you about being able to help your clients to achieve their desired outcomes?
I find a great deal of satisfaction in helping guide clients through a difficult emotional time when they're going through the breakup of their family. Sometimes it's very hard to focus, to make good decisions. And I'm really a strong believer in providing clients with good information so they can make good decisions and making sure that they're in the right place to do that. If they need other assistance, like a therapist or a coach or a financial advisor, I try and put those people in place with them so that they have the support they need to make the decisions that are needed at what is really a crazy time for them, emotionally and psychologically.
Right.
And so that gives me a lot of satisfaction to help people through that.
One certainly gets a sense of your passion for what you do and the people you help coming through as you speak and share your insights with us today. So thank you for that, Nancy. Briefly then, could you just spend a few moments telling us a little bit about your background and your formal education, as well as your experience as it relates to the topic of family law?
So I went to law school in the early 80s, and at the time I was married and I went through a divorce. I never really thought much about family law until I started practicing, although I had taken a class in law school, and I began volunteering for a domestic violence program at our local bar association that provided help to mostly women going through a divorce. And at that point, we had just started with our Domestic Violence Act and obtaining orders of protection for survivors of domestic violence. And I became involved in that program. I ended up teaching for several years, teaching other attorneys how to handle those cases. And that led me into doing family law. And about 25 years ago, I started doing family law exclusively. And now I do a lot of teaching and training of other lawyers on various topics of family law and planning education programs for them. And most recently was involved in the drafting and redrafting of our new child support statute.
So Nancy, if there is somebody listening right now and they're from Highland Park or any of the surrounding areas in Illinois, and they feel they want to know more about understanding the new Illinois child support guidelines, and of course any of the other things that you just mentioned that you could help them with, how would they be able to connect with you?
Sure. Well, I'm always happy to talk with clients either by email or phone. And my website is www.chausowshafer.com. That's CHAUSOWSHAFER. Or they can call my office, 847-433-9400. Or email me at info@chausowshafer.com. And I'll be happy to try and schedule a time for us to talk and find out more about their situation and if I can be of any help to them.
Fantastic. That is all we have time for today. Once more, that was family law attorney Nancy Chausow Shafer. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Nancy. You have certainly demonstrated, without a doubt, 100% hands down, that you are a true educator and advocate for your clients' success. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, Nancy. And I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, you, the listener. Without you, where would we be? We wouldn't have anybody to talk to. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day today and for joining us on this very insightful and informative conversation with one of the leading family law attorneys in Highland Park, Illinois today. Again, her name is Nancy Chausow Shafer. Make sure you do check her out, give her a call, visit her website. Whatever you decide to do, I'm sure that you're going to be in good hands. So that's it for today, folks. Again, my name is Stuart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading family law professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So, until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.